Hello, everyone. Welcome to this edition of Across the Bifrost. We have a very, very special little episode for you today. Recently, a big crossover comic came out called Marvel, DC, Spider-Man, and Superman. And there is a story in here that we desperately wanted to talk to an expert about. And it is a story featuring Jane Foster and Wonder Woman. We will do a separate video, separate episode for the rest of the book, but we are honored, privileged, and blessed by Russell Dauterman joining us to talk about this fantastic comic. So, Russell, thank you for returning to Across the Bifrost to talk about Jane and Wonder Woman.
Thanks so much for having me back. I'm really happy to be here.
We did talk to Russell a while back about basically everything you did with Thor, but that was before your art book had come out. And we were talking about the art book. And Russell, I'm happy to say I finally got the art book, and it is gorgeous. It
Good.
is one of my reference materials over there. But we want to dig into this brand new Jane story and some of the DC stuff you got to do, because unless I'm forgetting something, you have not done a ton of DC, like official DC stuff. Like, you've probably done fan art of a bunch of DC characters, but was this your first time doing a DC character in a book or not?
No, I haven't done much DC. You're right about that. But my first big two job was at DC. I did
Awesome.
2 issues of Nightwing fill-in issues, and that was like my first kind of big Marvel DC job. And then right from that, I got hired at Marvel to do the Cyclops series.
Awesome. I'm just curious, which writer were you working with?
This was New 52 Nightwing.
Okay. Fantastic.
Yeah, and then, before Thor came out, I signed an exclusive contract with Marvel, and I'm still in that. So I haven't been allowed to draw DC characters except for this special occasion.
Wow. Okay, so we're truly we're getting some exclusive looks at you doing DC characters in this.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But Faz, I would love for you to tell viewers, listeners, what the story is. It's called The Wondrous and the Worthy, and I would love for you to give them a synopsis, and then we'll kind of bat the ball around with Russell and dig into the process of coming to this story and have some fun with this one.
Yeah, sounds good. So, of course, guys, it's a Jason Aaron Thor story. So we're not just doing Thor Odinson. We got the mighty Thor herself here, and it's Russell Dauterman art. So we also get Wonder Woman. It's a crazy combo. We got Matt Wilson's doing the colors, which getting the gang back together is fantastic. And VC's Joe Caramagna, not Joe Savino. We do love him. It's too bad he's not here this time, but it's a different VC Joe. So we're still covering.
It did throw me off, though, as I was reading it.
So in this one, guys, it's a War of the Realms, but it's not like you've ever heard of it before. It's not Malekith the Accursed. It's Darkseid, and he's wielding the, one sec, I gotta read it, the all black, the anti-life blade, and trying to take over the 9 realms, or there might be 10 at this point, who knows. They've already taken Asgard, they're going for Metropolis, they're going out there, and we're left with a brand new Thor, because there must always be a Thor. It's a Jane Foster near the beginning of her career. She's fighting through, she kind of has a stop where Wonder Woman shows up. They have a really good heart-to-heart that we'll get into details about as we go, but for now, I just want to mention specifically the fact that they were guessing the Justice League as to who the mighty Thor would be, and this was my favorite joke in either of these 2 books, Russell, where Diana says, Superman's pretty certain that it's Lois Lane, I thought Donna Troy. Batman refused to guess. He was just complaining about you stealing Thor's name, which Batman being the neckbeard incel was the greatest thing they could have done. And they have a great heart-to-heart about worthiness and the deservingness. Diana can see through Jane and see what she's dealing with. Jane can see Diana. And they kind of go off to fight for the world against Darkseid. And I think it's just, I could use 70 pages of this, Russell. If you and Jason ever feel like doing that, we would gladly take more. This story is complete Jason Aaron and Russell distilled into 5 pages of awesomeness. And it's so awesome to have you guys back and to get to see you do something with Diana for the first time.
Yeah, that was a huge thrill for me, because she's one of my favorites. If I were to go work at DC, she'd be the first character that I'd ask to draw. So this was a huge treat to get to, work with Jason and Matt again on Jane, and because we've done the odd cover here and there for an anniversary issue or something like that, and then I drew her again on the cover of my art book. But I mean, she's not a character anymore in that incarnation in the main universe, so there's not a lot of opportunity. So yeah, this was a huge treat.
Russell, quick question. I love the questions about how the process is made. And were you and Aaron able to have like a conversation about what you want to do with this? Did Marvel DC give you like a page count and said, you got to fit this story? Because I agree with Faz. Like, I want a 1982 Teen Titans Uncanny X-Men crossover event that's like 80 pages long of this entire story. I was like, man, this is way too short. And I love the teases there. There's been many tales told of this, and I'm like, maybe one day we'll get more of this. But like, do they pitch you the idea, or were you and Jason able to like kind of pitch some ideas together and come up with that? Was it more collaborative? What was that process like?
It was pretty collaborative. Marvel went to Jason and asked if he would do a story for this crossover, and he said that the only idea that he had that he wanted to do would be Jane Foster Thor and Wonder Woman and have me draw it. And so they said okay, even though it was mostly a Spider-Man Superman deal. They kind of let this in. And then Jason asked me if I would be interested, and of course I was. But yeah, to the page count thing, it was always only going to be 5 pages. That's all we had to work with. So that was tricky, but Jason and I, once we were all on board, talked about what we wanted to do, like what would our ideal meeting between these two heroes be. I think given more page space, we would have done something different, probably more involving of the two mythologies that they're both working in. Because that's certainly where like my interest lies in all this stuff. I loved doing all the 10 Realms stuff the most. But yeah, I think then Jason sort of went off and came up with the idea to set it within stories that we'd already told before. It was basically, what would our stories have been if the Marvel Universe and the DC Universe were one? And I think I thought that was a brilliant thing for him to do, because it gave the audience sort of, not a cheat sheet, but a familiarity to start with. So we didn't have to establish like tons of stuff, and he could just throw out all those amazing names. He's so good at naming everything and coming up with all these like awesome, Paravenoms and the Realm Infernal.
The anti-life blade.
The anti-life blade, yeah. So he just throws all that out, and people kind of know what that's referencing. So I thought that was really great. But yeah, it was collaborative in that, like, it was how can we fit this into the Superman Spider-Man world? And so Jason had this story basically as it is, and then originally it was just parademons, and so I suggested, what if they were symbiote parademons, and what if we set it in Metropolis instead of, we were talking about, could it be in Asgard, could it be in New York, like the War of the Realms? And so we put it in Metropolis. And then DC and Marvel were like, well, what if we see, the reporters from the various universes in that one panel, like running away? And we got to throw in a little of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and that last page at the end does have like a big, like, it's got Spider-Man, it's got a Superman, it's got the whole team there. You got your Scarlet Witch, love it.
Wanda,
Even though like both books of Superman, Spider-Man, Superman, there's not even a single kind of Batman reference or Batman shows at all, except in your panel. You're the only one who was able to draw Batman in the entire. Now they did have a Batman Deadpool crossover, and there's a lot of Batman. And fair enough, Spider-Man and Superman didn't show up in that because that was their kind of deal, even though it's kind of DC Marvel crossover. But in terms of these two books of Spider-Man, Batman only shows up once.
And he's got a sword.
A sword. I need to know why.
I think you can probably guess who chose who on that cover. Like, Batman with sword is a very Jason inclusion. Having Wanda there was a very me inclusion.
Mm-hmm.
She's a favorite of mine, and I designed that costume and wanted another chance to draw it. But that also gave us an opportunity, because in the script I was like, well, do the heroes just kind of show up behind them? And then I'm like, well, I obviously want to include Wanda, and if we have her there, we can tease the portal on the page before by showing her little hexes, and then they open up into the portal. So she served a narrative function too.
Now, Russell, I got a question about this splash page at the end there and this style that you've been using in various covers. And I think it shows up again in the Wiccan and Hulkling Raid of Ultron cover, where it's the characters and they're all kind of arranged in a circle and they're kind of bursting out. Like, what do you call that? I want to call it like a character cornucopia. Is it like a certain, is it like a Russell-ism that you have? Is this a style that you've been working towards? Or am I just connecting dots that aren't there?
No, I mean, that's become a motif. I don't know if I was like trying to. I'm going to steal that cornucopia phrase. I like that. But I mean, even going back to like Mighty Thor stuff, I would use circles a lot, like in compositions. I just think it's more interesting. There's something about the composition of that when you're working with that very kind of tall rectangular frame, to have the circle in it gives you a more interesting composition that's different from the aspect ratio of the page.
Mm-hmm.
And I do this series of costumes covers where I take a character and I do the same pose but all the different costumes they've ever worn, and I usually arrange those in like some sort of composition that relates to the character. So like Storms is in a tornado or whatever, but it's always my instinct is to make it a circle for all of those, and I have to fight that instinct. So I think it's just something I like. And then I like, like in the splash page we did here, having Thor upside down to work with the circle, it gives it more motion and helps move your eye around the page, I think.
Well, it's gorgeous, and it definitely works, and it's. I think it's becoming sort of like a signature of yours, because I haven't seen anyone else arrange them like that and make it work every time. It gives so much depth.
Well, you let me know when it becomes too much, and then
too many circles.
Yeah.
Let's do some
to piggyback
triangles.
off Eric's observation about the organizing of the characters. Is the Thor one in any specific shape?
Oh, amazing! The Thor one. What was I going for there? I think I came up with the pose first, and then I wanted to just have everybody, your eye leading up to the hammer.
Okay. Oh, because I was like looking at it, I was like, I don't see a shape. This is like at the worst Where's Waldo. I can't find it.
No, it's not so much a shape. It's like leading your eye up to the hammer and to Throg in the other corner.
I always forget he's there, and I love that he's there.
It's amazing that you do that.
Well, Faz, I believe this was a gift from you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you got those in New York,
Yeah,
right?
in New York, exactly. Yeah. I've got
That's
mine
amazing.
up. It's on my wall there. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah.
It was a running thing for a while that I passed up. I passed up the cover when it was actually like out because I wasn't collecting your art yet. And
Okay.
then the price on it went up so much, and Faz gave me a beautiful gift. So now I have the big one. But is there anything else I'm just curious about in this story besides like Beefcake Superman, which like actually maybe that is a good place to go with, your Superman and your Batman, and Jon Stewart is on here, Kara is on here, but especially with Diana, like was there a vibe of that character that you like gained inspiration from? Was there an artist that you were like, oh, this is what I want my version of this character to look like? Or like, how did you pull those elements together?
100%. Yes, it's George Perez, the George Perez Wonder Woman. That's one of my favorite comic book runs of all time. The one thing that I like really wanted to do in this story was to do a little homage, or tribute rather, to George Perez. And so on that page where Jane and Diana both see each other for who they really are, that's her in the George Perez era outfit with the Amazons flanking her, specifically the ones from that run in those costumes, mixed with, some of the modern ones as well. And in the script, like, Jason just said she's flanked by an army of Amazons, and I was like, oh, this is my opportunity. And so then I, got to put that in there. But yeah, I mean, from the curly hair to her build to, everything, I think his Diana's, perfection. So I just tried to do my best to be anywhere as good as that.
I also see in a lot of his covers that he uses a circular motif too, usually with the lasso. So maybe there's some inspiration there on the.
Okay, maybe that's where I'm getting it.
the Russell Dauterman iceberg. It goes so deep.
For Batman, it was Batman the Animated Series. Like,
Okay.
I for the last crossover they did, they had me do a cover, and it had Batman and the Joker on it, amongst some other characters. And the Joker there is very much so the Batman the Animated Series Joker, because that show was really formative for me. So getting
Nice.
to that was my big DC intro, was that show. So
I mean, it makes perfect sense.
I think also that's probably where the giant beefy Superman comes from, is from Superman the Animated Series, where he has the incredibly tiny waist and the hugely broad shoulders.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
He looks structurally unsound. But like the shoulders on this guy, my goodness. Eric, what is this Superman doing in the gym to get these Russell Dauterman shoulders? I'm so curious.
It's all beach muscles, right? You can skip leg day if everyone's staring at the upper body. Then it's like
Yeah.
it's like the Johnny Bravo, right, where he's just like that.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Skipping leg day. Well, I love this story too, in terms of Jane and Diana, both having their signature weapon or tool of justice. You got the hammer, and then you have the lasso. And so you had experience with wielding the hammer. In terms of the lasso, super cool. The way it just kind of flows through there is like she's dragging it along, but also whipping it around. I mean, in terms of having fun with that lasso, what was that like?
That's a lot of Art Nouveau influence. I kind of get a lot of that with hair, like the sort of Mucha inspired line work. And that's part of the thing I can do with the lasso, is you can use it to frame a scene or frame a character. And I do that with fabric and with hair too. It's like in Malekith in Thor and the Mighty Thor, I used his hair all the time to kind of slither around him like a snake. It's anything like that can add some movement and character to these static images, I think helps. And so Jane's lightning or the lasso and stuff like that, it becomes a compositional element and an additional movement thing.
Yeah, even in their action scenes, their hair, both Jane and Diana's, their hair's flowing in ways that is just that detail is really really fantastic, and of course that's why you're one of the best at what you do.
Thank you.
Yeah. So good. And again, man, these pages is too short. I need the next one. So please, we're putting this out there in the universe. I need a full graphic novel. I don't know how long it took you to draw this. That's another one of my questions. How long was this? A month? Was it if we're going to get a graphic novel of this particular story, how long will it take? And when do we need to put the order in?
I mean, you may have noticed that my interior work has dwindled. And that's a lot of time related stuff, because it just takes me so long to do something that I think is good. But this was maybe a month, maybe more than that, if you do layouts and that kind of thing. But I would love to have it, to expand this into a full graphic novel. I think Jason's laid all the groundwork, and I think it was really smart to focus the story on the really personal moment, and that gave a real kind of emotional gut punch that would be the core of what you'd want from this little 5-pager. But you could certainly expand this out and see all the battles that you're talking about. Jane sort of rattles off at one point all the different fights that she's been in. I think she mentions with the Valkyries or with Shazam and all that other stuff. That'd be awesome to see.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I want to see that mighty Thor throw Wolverine as a fastball.
Yeah.
So bad.
That'd be awesome.
I'm putting that out there in the universe. I need it to happen. Come on, Ryan, work your magic.
Me?
Yes, come on. You got a YouTube page, buddy. You have a YouTube page with a comment section, and we're gonna make this happen.
We have a history of speaking Jason Aaron things into existence, right? He told us he wanted to do Superman, and then he got Absolute Superman like a year after that. So like, this is the time. Let's
We
make
did
it
ask
happen.
him what is just put it out there.
DC person what to do was, and it was Superman.
If anyone can make it happen, it would be Jason. So
Yeah.
he could will it to existence, I'm sure.
Russell, speaking about, I think that is a great observation that, all of these narrative panels are really, or any narrative caption is really kind of like an issue in itself. And it's doing all this world building and just throwing all this stuff out there that, like you said, it's really sort of familiar sounding. It kind of rhymes with the War of the Realms. And so it seems really natural at first. And the story is focused on really the intimate conversation, the first meeting and the developing relationship between the two characters. Were there any other like moments or like must-haves or things where you're like, I'm going to try to find a way to work this in here, or anything that as you were trying to like lay this out, thinking, well, I need to build things around this to make sure that this takes center stage? I noticed that the bottom half of the page with their first meeting, when Thor has her arm wrapped in the lasso and Diana's standing tall, that seems to be like a huge focal point, at least for me, like when I'm reading the first half of this. Is that something that you like already had in mind, figured out, and built the rest around it? Or
Yeah, I mean, I kind of approach interior pages. I mean, I approach it almost like a cover in that I'm looking at it as a whole composition. I've never really done, or at least I bristle against a grid. I'm try to have something that breaks out. I try to have one panel that's the focal panel, and then I usually figure that out first. So the one you're talking about, I knew that was the moment from that page. I knew that. Did we lose our super?
No, I'm
Okay.
here. Sorry, I was sneezing and it's YouTube, so I didn't want anybody to see it. Sorry, Russell.
Amazing. No problem. That's great to know that protocol. But like for that one, I knew that was like going to be the image, and like if they were going to preview a page from this, that was the one I knew they were going to do, and that's the one they ended up doing. And so I knew that needed to be almost half the page, and it needed to have sort of an iconic image, or as iconic as I could get it. So then I built the rest of the page around that, or like sometimes it's as simple as like, I have this close-up of Wonder Woman on the 4th page, and I need to make sure I have a close-up of Jane somewhere too. So I made the page where she's offering the hammer a close-up, and I'm trying to give a balance of an equal weight to both characters. I wanted to do something that I did in War of the Realms, which was to make the panel borders look kind of symbiote like they were melty and had tendrils. So I repeat that motif throughout. And then, the last page, it was about giving as much space to that second panel as possible and to really make that pop. And with that one, I came up with the Thor and Diana poses first, and I nailed those down. And then I kind of fit in the rest of the characters around them and came up with poses that, would work with that cornucopia composition. But yeah, it was about, you always have to figure out how to best represent what's written in the script and then try to make it compelling. And for me, try to do something, the way I think of it is I will often like come up with that first image, and then I'll come up with sort of the basic panel structure. And then I think, well, how can I fuck this up? Like how can I make it more and make it a little weirder and less normal? And so that's when I'll make things a circle, or I'll make, like the panel where Diana like hits the bracelets. I had the panel kind of also extend out like as if it were a blast, so I do things like that.
Just to kind of mess with it a little bit, just so it's not so, like a grid or so rigid. Yeah.
Right.
Russell, I'm just curious. We mentioned Jason a little bit and how you guys did a whole collaborative process of like, here's what I would like to do. Here's what I would like to do. Twofold question, I guess, because you and he have worked so much together, and we're fortunate enough to have spoken to you both now multiple times, but I don't think I've ever asked you this question. Do you have a favorite, like, like in this issue, is there a favorite line where like you're reading the script and you're like, that is the most Jason Aaron line in this comic? Because now I will just, in our group chat, we have now started, like when we read a Jason Aaron comic, at least I'll be like, and that is the Jason Aaron award of the issue. Do you have a favorite line in here where you're like, do I get to, can I draw that? Or like, is that just like funny? Or you're like, oh, this guy, like he always comes back to doing this kind of thing.
Or
Yeah,
that's so Jason. Yeah.
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 He did it
Depends on-
again.
Well, after I got his script, I texted him to tell him how much I loved the narration. I thought I loved when he does this sort of kind of grandiose Thor epic narration. But the line I really liked the most, let me get to it so I say it exactly, that I thought was a very Jason thing was when Diana says, "You are not the Thor that I know. You smell much less of mead."
Yeah.
I thought that was very Jason, and I loved that.
Oh my gosh.
But the other thing, I mean, I kind of mentioned earlier was how he's awesome at naming things. Like when he names the Paravenoms or the Realm Infernal or the All Black, the Anti-Life Blade. Like if you ever need something named, just go to Jason and get something great.
We've said it before, like it's like he's playing Mad Libs against himself.
Yeah.
Well, and he always
It's just
puts
like-
hats on hats, right? Like it's like
Yes,
it's not
yes.
all black the Necro Sword, it's all black the Anti-Life Blade. Darkseid is the All Father of the Realm Infernal instead of the Realm Eternal. Like he always, it's like the Godzilla Thor issue. Yeah.
I was trying to think the other day, did he have a fun name for the lava sharks in Mighty Thor?
I think they were just
lava
lava sharks. Yeah.
Each
Oh, okay.
realm had their own sharks.
Okay.
There were swamp sharks because
Oh, yeah.
like yeah. Was there another name for? You know what? Now I'm doubting myself.
Yeah.
How dare I?
Well, while you consider that, Ryan, I got a question for Russell. Russell, in what ways as an artist are you continually evolving? Like what's your current thing that you're like experimenting with? Because your style is so well developed, but it's never quite set in stone. You're still tinkering with things. So what are some of those things you're tinkering with now?
Well, the big change that I'm doing now, since Thor is, I mean, I still work with Matt Wilson, who's, for my money, the best colorist around. But I've started to color a lot of my own work myself. And that's given me, like I colored all my Scarlet Witch covers were me, all those costume covers are me. And I mean, everything I know how to do with colors because of Matt, but it's helped me figure out how better to set up a page for Matt to color. Like I've always given him a lot of layers, and I think that helps the overall product. But like with this one, pretty much every shadow that you see, I drew in grayscale, and I gave to Matt on a separate layer. So that's different from what we did on Thor, where he would paint in all the shadows. And this, like all the highlights he's adding, but all the shadows I did. And so that's a different thing that I've been doing. He's coloring some X-Men covers for me right now. And I even went a little overboard where I like separated out all the shadows based on like, these are the shadows for Psylocke's skin. These are the shadows for Psylocke's eyes or her hair. And then, like there's the Photoshop file has like 5 million layers in it, but then he can just plop, 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 plop all of the colors in. And, that I think it speeds up the process for him anyway. And I like doing all that shading. So that's been probably a different thing. If you've noticed a different look to it, that might be what it is.
That's nice.
Also, guys, they're called fire-breathing sharks, which is a good name. I feel like lava sharks might actually be better, but I'm not gonna judge Jason on this. Yeah.
Okay.
I remember him saying like at one point everything was shark, so I just like wanted everything to have a shark, and I was like, yeah, like you're a junior high boy that grew up and got his dream job, like, and everything think it's a shark. Guys, I think it would be fair for us all to maybe go around and get like one final little toss a question at Mr. Russell. Russell, do you have time for just one question each from us?
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
I'm happy to be here. So ask away.
Yeah, I like that Jason Aaron renamed our lightning round to the thunder round, right? Isn't that right?
Like he nicely, but was like, by the way, like it's a better name, and I was like, what am I going to tell this man?
That's
No.
right. So here
I
we
mean,
are. Here we are in the Thunder Round.
was right.
Yeah, yeah. Here's right. Here's right. So Russell, my Thunder Round question is like in terms of what was your first comic book you remember buying or owning or like sparked that the geek within you for comics? Was there a particular issue or character that jumped out for you that you bought?
Yeah, I'm Googling really quickly because I want to make sure I get the issue number right. But oh, and my issue number was wrong. Okay, I found it. So I got into comics through X-Men the animated series from the 90s, and so I probably owned like the X-Men Adventures or whatever the tie-in was
Yeah.
that my mom got through the mail, whatever. But the first one that I remember actually like owning was Uncanny X-Men 302,
Okay.
and it has Colossus kind of being restrained on the cover. But the big thing for me is you open it and the beginning, it's drawn by John Romita Jr. and there's a double page spread that you have to turn, so it's vertical, and it's Storm, just one panel, like lightning, wind, hair, and cape everywhere, and I think that was probably more formative for me than
Heck yeah. Yeah.
most other things. That's seared in my brain, and I always remember that as like my first comic.
Cool. Love it.
Let me go next. I got it.
Yeah.
Russell, so there's probably aspects of drawing and illustrating that start to feel more like a job over time. How do you keep your spark? How do you refill your cup when it comes to like staying motivated, staying interested in the work that you do?
I just noticed that you have the Thor artist proof on your wall, and that's amazing. I love that cover. Thank you for that.
We are big Russell fans here. I don't know if you've noticed.
Yeah.
That's really good.
I don't
That it is really easy to get burned out just from the amount of hours, and I mean, I hate complaining about this because it's not like I'm doing hard labor or whatever, but especially when you're doing interiors or you don't have weekends and you work late nights, and it can be hard to sort of get back into it. And then you're also seeing how the sausage is made, so it's like when I would normally relax with a comic book after work or whatever, like now it's like if I'm looking at a modern one, it's like, oh well, I know that person, or I worked with that editor, or oh, I wouldn't have done it this way, and all that kind of stuff. So it's hard.
Yeah.
What I've been doing lately is in downtime I've been doing some fan art, like just for me, that I'll then post online. And at first it was kind of continuing my kind of costumes covers, where I took my Scarlet Witch model that I drew and I put all the animated series costumes on it. So like X-Men Evolution or Avengers United, They Stand, which I love. I'm the only person that loves that. But so
you may be the one.
I know. It's only me. But and then I'm, lately I'm doing a whole kind of series of X-Men Evolution things. I did some Agatha all along. So like comics adjacent things that are just fun for me to draw, and it gets me back to like when I was a teenager or younger, and I'd just be doodling all the time and not doing it because it's my job. So yeah, it's nice that I can post that, and that some people like that stuff too. But that's helped to feel kind of rejuvenated, and is even when it's a project like this that I'm really excited about, I'm still always anxious because I want it to be great. I don't want to draw a bad Thor image. I want these things to be as incredible as I'm capable of making them, and there's pressure to that. But if I'm just drawing Jean Grey in her X-Men Evolution costume, like there's not really high stakes to that.
Yeah.
And it can just be fun.
Well, yeah, if you're a little nervous, it means you care, right? So
Yes.
anxiety and nervousness can channel that energy and means you care about it. And we definitely tell in this story that you care a lot.
Oh, good. I'm really glad you guys liked it.
As you want to
Well,
go?
how could we not like this? Firstly,
one day I'll disappoint you. So
Well, we'll see. Okay, so my
I can't
question
imagine
is,
what that will be.
so you'd be
But
like,
I'm also
actually, I don't know if I love this
pleased,
one
but-
particular image of Jane. No, I don't think that's going to happen, Russell. I think we're going to be okay.
It would be like the opportunity to do a fastball special, and he's like, "No, we'll do something else." And just they move
Yeah.
along. They mention it, but never see it. And be like, "No, Russell."
My question, Russell, because we know how much you love design, and we know how you've gotten to start taking a bunch of cracks at redesigning Marvel characters. I want to ask about two that are in your splash page. And this is on the spot, so my apologies if you change your mind later. But off the top of your head,
Okay.
if you were redesigning Wonder Woman and Superman, what would you change, if anything, on the DC design?
the Superman one is so hard because that costume, it always goes back to this one. Like, and it's just so iconic, and people try to get rid of the briefs and you just can't, that's Superman. That would be really hard. But that said, I am a fan of like when he was blue and like had
Oh,
a
yeah.
completely different,
Electric Blue
like-
Superman, right? Yeah.
yeah. That was the one with the mullet too, right?
I think so, around that time. Yeah.
So I think like if I were to redesign Superman, I'd want to do it in a thing where it's purposefully different. Because I think trying to design or redesign a classic Superman costume is almost a fool's errand.
Yeah.
Because it's like Spider-Man. It's always going to go back to that costume.
So it's like the ones where like he's going to be a pirate in this issue because he's in a pirate time, or he's going to be like a cowboy like they did recently. You'll do that version, but you don't want to.
Yeah,
you don't want
or
to do
like-
the main suit. You just like for a fun one-off issue.
Actually, now that I'm saying that, the absolute Superman costume, I think, is perfection.
Yeah.
Like, that is top tier costume design. I love that so much. Like, that's how you do a modern Superman costume. I think the absolute Wonder Woman costume is perfect. Like, that whole take on her, that's my favorite comic being published of the past few years. And it's like, actually, those two designs make your question even harder, because like those two designs are doing it.
It's like they were just done.
Yeah, I think the challenge, the Wonder Woman one, I think there's more wiggle room because people like have done different takes on her, and she's had a few different looks through the years, or even different plays on that same costume, whether it's the skirt versus, the one piece or whatever. So I think there's room there. I'd love the chance to do that. I think I might have more to offer with that one. To do like a classic Wonder Woman costume, but that's familiar but different. Sort of like what I tried to do with like my Wanda or my Jean Grey designs at Marvel, which is to take a lot of elements from the previous looks and combine them into something modern and new.
As in asking your question, Russell answered mine.
Boom.
I was just gonna ask, what comic are you reading right now? Like what comics are you enjoying? And I understand, like, kind of like with Eric's question, you said like when you look at a comic, it's like you see how the sauce is made. I can almost just see like you're reading like, I can't do this. I gotta do something else.
It feels like I'm at work still.
What is there like other stuff like you're just like really enjoying right now, and that's kind of an extension of Eric's question, like just feeding the creative process for you right now?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Like I'm still able to enjoy comics. Like that'd be a sad day if I couldn't anymore.
Understood, yeah.
I'm loving the Absolute books. But my favorite thing I've read recently is Friday by Marcos Martin and Ed Brubaker.
Okay.
I'm forgetting, I think it's Panel Syndicate, which is the Brian K. Vaughan online thing where you can get the book for free or pay as you want, and they release per issue. But now it's been collected, and I think Image put out like a really nice hardcover that I've got back there. But it's almost like supernatural Nancy Drew kind of thing. Like if a mystery where she was a like girl detective and she had a friend and they solved mysteries in their small town, and now she went off to college and left that behind, and now she's come back to the town and there's the biggest mystery ever that they have to unravel together. And the Marcos Martin art is just incredibly gorgeous. Like
so
it's some of the
pretty.
best comic book art you'll ever see. I can't recommend this highly enough. Like if you like Ed Brubaker's crime stuff, like this has some of that vibe, but it feels nostalgic. If you like Stranger Things, it has kind of a Stranger Things vibe. It's amazing.
Marcos Martin also did the Spider-Man Noir in this book too. So
Yeah, I saw some of that. It looked amazing.
Yeah.
And I think the same colorist did Friday. It's beautiful.
Okay.
Nice.
Sweet. So everybody go read Friday on Russell Dauterman's recommendation.
Yeah.
Russell, are there like upcoming like things people can look forward from you? Like probably you're still going to be doing some Wanda covers. That's kind of is that the bread and butter still?
I would love to keep doing those, but mine last one was the Sorcerer Supreme #5.
Well,
That wasn't my choice. I would have kept going, but that's that. But I do have some other Wanda stuff coming up. My very boring answer is that I've been working on some pieces that they haven't announced yet.
Okay.
But I will say that right now I'm doing 2 more of those costumes covers, and one of them is Thor related. So you guys might be
don't you dare, sir.
interested in that.
Interested.
I
We'll
know they
make the
haven't
mistake we made last
announced
time.
what it's going to be, and I don't want to know what it's going to be. Do you know when? Like, is it like 6 months from now, a year from now? Do you know when it'll be, whatever it is, released?
The Thor or the other I've done like a whole I'm sitting on a whole bunch of pieces that just aren't out yet, so it's not like a one project. I haven't like drawn a graphic novel that's coming out.
But like the Thor costume variant, it's
costume
not
cover.
Thor,
Oh, the
but it's a
Thor
Thor
one.
related one. Yeah.
It's due this summer, if not end of June, then July.
Sounds like for
Cool.
issue 800 or so, something like
Oh,
that.
I mean,
Hush now, sir.
if that timing lines up.
Interesting.
well-
Interesting.
Well, and then
Russell-
don't forget the Wiccan and Hulkling Raid of Ultron
Yes.
cover coming out end of May.
So
Because
thrilled about that.
anytime
it,
you
I
draw,
want
anytime
Feel-
you draw Hulkling, he's one of my favorite characters, and I've actually got a cover right there, the King of Black back.
Oh
back in the
yeah,
day.
amazing. I love that cover. Yeah, that I should be plugging that Wiccan and Hulkling. That was a thrill to do that. In all my years doing the Wanda covers, I wanted to do a WandaVision family portrait, and so I finally got to do one, and I was really happy with it.
And it's a nice circle.
Yes, exactly.
It's like looking for hidden clues now.
Yeah,
We're
yeah,
not
yeah.
gonna be able to not see it. Oh man, I'm glad our Wiccan and Hulkling correspondent caught on
That's
to
right.
that because that cover like when you I think you had shared an image of it on Instagram and I was like, well, I know someone that's gonna be really really invested in this, and I think Eric had already sent it to our crew. Like,
Oh yeah.
You go to share it, and it's right there in the chat
yeah, it's
already.
already.
Oh, that's awesome.
Russell, you're a hoot, man. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk about Jane and Diana, and hopefully, like, I would love to see you do so many versions of so many DC characters, like clashing up with Wanda needs her crossover story. Wanda needs a crossover story. So
Wanda and Zatanna
just
would
throwing-
feed families, I think. Let's get that going.
you know what, Faz? I'm embarrassed to say that Russell doing a Zatanna didn't even cross my mind, but that kind of feels perfect. So I'm just saying. But everybody, thank you for checking out this episode. Go check out all the fine Russell Dauterman things, whether it's Thor, whether it's Wanda, whether it's just X-Men doodles. Have you done Spike from X-Men Evolution yet, Russell?
I have it. I don't know when this is going out, but the day we're recording, I just posted my Mystique one, and then I have one more, which is Wolverine. But
Yeah, I
No
shared
spot.
that in the group chat today. I caught it.
Mystique.
Yes, I did.
I'm not the biggest Mystique fan in the world, but I was like, okay, fine. Russell Dauterman, Mystique can get it.
What? Yeah, I grew up on
That's
X-Men
awesome.
comics. I grew up on X-Men comics. He was always my favorite villain and kind of anti-hero. So when you popped that up today on Instagram, immediately threw a heart on that. I was like, yep, there she is. That's one of my favorites. So
yeah, I love that costume too. All those designs are super sleek. But I did want to say, like,
Yeah.
thank you guys, for having me on and for all the kind words here and online and everything. And I really appreciate it. And I'm so glad you like the art. It means a lot.
thanks, Russell. Thank you.
We're so glad you give us the opportunity to tell you that we love it. Everybody, thank you for checking out this episode. All of our links in the bottom there for Patreon and Instagram and all that nonsense. Really, the important thing is that you got to hear Russell Dauterman break down a Jane and Diana comic. So that's kind of the value right there.
Yeah.
So we just hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you in the next one.